Every breath you take today keeps you alive. For most of Earth's history, that kind of air didn't exist. Bacteria had already learned to make oxygen, yet for hundreds of millions of years, almost nothing changed. Scientists have spent decades piecing together why, and what they found changed the future of every living thing on Earth. Picture Earth 4 billion years ago. The sky glows a dull, rusty red. The oceans are black as ink and just as still. No blue anywhere, no green. This is a planet that hasn't found its colors yet. Life exists, technically, but you wouldn't recognize a single thing about it. No plants, no animals, not even a fish bone to find. Just cells drifting alone in water that has never once tasted oxygen. For these organisms, oxygen isn't a gift. It's a threat they've never had to think about. The way you don't fear a storm that has never come. It rips molecules apart on contact. It jams the machinery inside a cell until it simply stops. And these early organisms have no defense against it. None at all. Why would they? For nearly 2 billion years, the enemy simply didn't exist yet. Then, something changes. A new organism appears, Cyanobacteria. Small, stubborn, endlessly patient. It stumbles onto a trick no living thing had tried before. It learns, in effect, to eat sunlight. Photosynthesis, scientists later call it. Water and light and carbon dioxide go in. Oxygen comes out as nothing more than waste. At first, nothing seems to happen. Oxygen keeps pouring into the oceans, but it never stays there for long. The water is full of dissolved iron. Every new molecule is captured almost immediately, layer by layer, as if the planet itself refuses to let oxygen escape. It sinks and settles, and piles up on the seafloor for millions of years. You can still see the result today, streaks of red and gray rock. Geologists call it a banded iron formation. It's really just a fingerprint, evidence of a poisoning in extremely slow motion. Eventually, the iron runs out. There's nothing left in the ocean to soak up the oxygen. So, for the first time, it starts to rise, up, out of the water, into the air itself. Scientists call this the Great Oxidation Event. Somewhere between 2.4 and 2.1 billion years ago, the exact date is still argued over. Some studies push it earlier, others later. What nobody disputes is the outcome. Oxygen finally won. Not with an explosion, with a slow, unstoppable tide. And this wasn't a local problem. Not one ocean, one island, one unlucky species. The chemistry of the entire planet shifted, more or less all at once. For the organisms alive at the time, this was nothing short of a disaster. Their cells had no defenses built in. Oxygen tore into their proteins. It damaged their DNA. It poisoned them, quietly, from the inside out. Many species probably vanished completely. We don't know exactly how many. The fossil record from 2 billion years ago is frustratingly thin. We will likely never know their names. We only know they were there. And then, in unimaginable numbers, they weren't. But the geochemistry doesn't lie. Something catastrophic happened to life on this planet. Some researchers even call it the first true extinction event in Earth's history. Not everyone agrees it deserves that title, but almost everyone agrees on this much. It was a turning point. And there was a second disaster hiding inside the first. Oxygen didn't just poison microbes, it went after methane in the atmosphere too. Methane had been keeping the planet warm, like an old, worn blanket. The sun back then was fainter than it is today. So once that blanket vanished, temperatures collapsed. Ice crept outward from the poles. Some scientists think it eventually reached the equator, a planet frozen solid. This ice age lasted roughly 300 million years, longer than any ice age since, by a wide margin. It has a name, the Huronian glaciation, triggered, as far as we can tell, by a gas we now think of as perfectly harmless.
Here's the strange part. The very same poison that caused all this became something else entirely. Oxygen, it turns out, carries an enormous amount of energy. Any organism that figured out how to use it safely suddenly had an advantage nothing else could match. Aerobic respiration, biologists call it, roughly 10 times more energy from exactly the same food. Life that once feared oxygen slowly became dependent on it. Complexity became possible for the first time. Cells developed nuclei. Multicellular life followed. Then, much later, plants, animals, eventually, dinosaurs, then mammals, and eventually, something capable of asking why in the first place. Every one of us is still, in a sense, breathing borrowed poison. None of that happens without the catastrophe that came before it. The extinction event that nearly wiped life out also happened to lay the foundation for everything that came after.
Earth's history is full of quiet ironies like this one. The deadliest substance of its era, now bottled quietly in every breath you take without a second thought, became the one condition every complex form of life would eventually need. Every breath, every heartbeat, every thought you've ever had. All of it exists because a handful of ancient bacteria poisoned their own planet. They had no idea what they'd done. They just kept doing what bacteria do, making a gas, one bubble at a time. And the planet was never the same again. If this changed how you think about your next breath, subscribe. There's more history that doesn't explain itself easily.